Hi, let's have a talk. So, I've put together, this is now October the 30th of 2011. We've gone from spring through fall, although we're not done yet with fall and winter, of the Free Thinking series. This is, what I'm doing is I'm going through the year showing you the most basic living skills, following a learning pattern of the Knights of the Colors, so that you learn from the very most basic, the most primitive living skills, and we're going to work our way up from there. The most primitive living skills, which is the Free Thinking series, is essentially the same skill that, well, think about the Garden of Eden. Before anybody knew how to make fire, before anybody knew how to make pottery, before anybody knew how to do anything, imagine yourself as being a completely feral animal, like an intelligent monkey. And you haven't learned any of those other skills, so you can't cook food, you don't know how to make bows and arrows, you don't know how to make any containers. While I have boiled some food, remember these were foods that you could eat raw. And I told you that. You can eat this raw, or you can cook it or boil it or whatever. So the shelters were natural cave or rock overhang shelters. At the beginning, when at the earliest age of this earth, there was a much thicker atmosphere and a heavy cloud cover, and the people lived in the center, along the equator of the earth, so that the temperatures weren't extreme. So even the necessity of building a fire for warmth wasn't necessary. So the most primitive skills, the first level, we've been going through in the Free Thinking series, which is the feral animal. In other words, if you left everything behind and went straight out into the wilderness right now, somewhere in Arizona, right, here's the basic foods that you can eat raw with no tools, no cooking, no nothing. Now the next series that I'm going to start now, and it's going to overlap a little bit with Free Thinking, I'm going to call Living Free. It's just the next level. It's still very primitive, but we're going to cover some basic things like pottery and stuff like that. So we're moving up one notch, making it just slightly more complicated and learning a little more. If I did it right, this series would take 7 years. So, anyway, it probably won't take 7 years. I probably won't do it right, but just saying. So, introducing you right now to Living Free, and we're going to begin with some basic pottery making. This is rough. It's not done yet. I'm maybe halfway through or less on this. I should say that the reason the first, most basic, primitive series is called Free Thinking is because that's where freedom starts. It's in your mind. Freedom is an individual thing. You can't make your entire country free because the rest of the world won't play along. They want free handouts, and they want you to work, and they want to benefit from the product of your labor. They want to control you. They want to make sure that nobody lives any different from the way they do. So freedom starts with you, but it starts in your mind by renewing, changing the way you think. That's why it's called Free Thinking. Now we're moving on to Living Free, because living is the next step beyond thinking. How you think, how you change your mentality. You start thinking in terms of liberty rather than in terms of being a subject of government, a subject of the system of any kind, whether it's a monetary system where you're really essentially in a way a slave to the banks and to lenders, and you're in a sense kind of in servitude to your desire for material possessions. You're even, unfortunately, kind of in a state of servitude to the grocery stores and Anyway, you have to renew your mind and change your thinking, and then you can be free. Then you can live free. Let's start with freedom. It starts with you, and it starts inside you, in your mind, in your thinking.